Chris Fisher here, week 15 with Factory Girls. Um, Question 1. Discuss key elements between early migrants and the new generation of migrant workers. What are similarities and what are some differences? Um, the early generation was heading into the unknown when they left their farms. They were just looking to make money to send home. Um, it was it was also considered really risky, especially for the younger women. Um, it was, with it being unknown, the families didn't know what was going to happen to them. After they worked for a while, they returned home and then stayed home. And also, while they were working, they um, took break to go home and help with the seeding and with the harvesting at the farm. The newer generation, migration was accepted by the families and society in general, and so it was. I'm not gonna say less risky, but more common. Um, the the youngers were better educated. They were driven by opportunity and what the city could provide for them rather than poverty, like the earlier generation. Um, there was no longer any shame in migrating. Instead, the shame was now placed on actually staying home. It was almost expected that the girls went out. But and also with the new migrants, it was the scheduling of the factories that dictated when they could go home rather than the scheduling of the farming. So, question 2. What do you think the survey results mean? Do these survey results surprise you? Did you initially think the newer migrant workers would be more satisfied than the migrants that came a decade earlier? Um, the older migrants were working towards a goal. They were trying to go out, make money to bring home to help the family farm succeed. The newer migrants weren't. They were going out to make money. Yeah, they sent some money home, but they were mainly going out to broaden their horizons and to make money and buy new phones and new clothes, and it was mainly selfish for the newer migrants, where the older migrants had a family-oriented mindset. Um, and I wasn't really surprised. It seems as time goes on, the worldwide society um, tends to get more and more selfish and more materialistic and care less and less about others and the past. And so it kind of fits with the general theme with society. Question number 3. Um, what is meant by this statement? How is it played out in the lives of the factory girls? What pressures do the factory girls feel from their parents? Um, After the girls went to the city, they didn't feel that their parents gave them good advice. The parents wanted them to go out, make money, come home, get married. Don't date boys from the factories. Marry some local or some person from their home local community. And so I think as with in question number 2, as the girls became more and more materialistic and more concerned about themselves, that they let that bother them less, and so it actually caused them to rebel even more, which caused them to spend money on their own things rather than send it home. And um, I, it says in there that most of the girls fought, disobeyed, and lied to their parents so that they would be able to continue living in the city and spending their money their way. Also, the parents said not to jump factories, but in the real world, that was the best way to get promoted. So, question 4. How does the education system in the United States differ from China's, and how is it similar to China's? Which system do you think is better for society? And explain your rationale. Um, that one's really tough because they're strong in different areas. China's system, I think, is better as far as the discipline part of things. They don't have, or they do. I believe, the way I understood it, allowed more capital punishment type discipline, which I don't know. I think made a stronger personality. The U.S. doesn't do that, but on the other hand, the U.S. has better qualified teachers than China, so the quality of education is higher here. Um, so it's really tough on which one to choose. I'd say the thing that they're most similar in would be the testing. Testing dictates where you go, how fast you get there, everything. Everything has a test before you can get in. Um, but for the most part, they were pretty pretty different, I thought. I'm sure you can go either way with that discussion, but and I think I would have to choose that the U.S. system would be better. Um, as me myself, I went back to school later in life, where in China that didn't seem like it was as much a possibility. So that was my biggest turning factor. But otherwise, it's kind of toss a coin and figure out which one's better for you personally, which you which qualities in an education you like best. Number 5. As Min moved into positions off the assembly line, how did her life change? Um, as Min moved up the corporal ladder, she wanted more. She wanted to climb higher. She wanted to learn more. So she was very driven, and each step up the ladder caused her to better herself in some way or another. Um, she her mind compartmentalized things very well, and so she was able to put the past behind her and not think about it. In fact, it wasn't even in the passage of reading for that question. Talked about it wasn't until she read the article in the Wall Street Journal that she realized how hard it was and how she would never forget how hard it was on the assembly line, and that she actually realized how much she had grown, how far she went, and um, even how much better her new job was, even though the circumstances weren't great. So I think it changed her life for the good, really. But all right, number 6. Discuss some challenging situations Min faced and experienced because she had to rely on herself. Do you know what it's like to rely on yourself? When have you been courageous? Um, Min left and started new jobs all the time. She left a factory, and some of them for petty reasons, but um, she kept on growing because of it. Um, but I really think that she had to be by herself because she didn't stay anywhere long enough to have a mentor, so to speak. She made some more acquaintances than friends, but she didn't really um, get to know anybody. So that was part of the reason she had to do it herself. Um, Another thing is Min seems to be very independent and even a little stubborn, and so she wouldn't let people help her because she wanted to do it on her own. And that's just kind of my take on it. I don't know if that's the all proper, but um, as far as myself, I would have to say yes. A few different reasons: being self-employed, and when with my wife being a stay-at-home parent and teaching our kids, it's my responsibility to provide for family. So if I can't find work, then we don't eat, and so I had to stay on top of that. Another thing is marriage itself is very very challenging. A lot of times, especially in disagreements, you feel like you're on your own and you have to do it. But so that's a couple brief examples. Question number 7. What is meant by this statement? Why would you feel the Dongguan talent market was the toughest place of all? Um, the the Dongguan talent market was basically just a cutthroat way of hiring people. Companies that were hiring had no compassion for the potential employees at all. They were In fact, quote in there, the job listings reduced human beings to the only characteristics that mattered, and rarely did these essentials require more than 20 words. Um, they weren't worried about you; they were just looking to fill a position. And so, when you showed up there, the company representatives could really be ruthless, and everyone around you could hear what they were saying, whether they were talking bad about you or saying that you failed. It was you had to be ready to deal with rejection and all sorts of stuff. So it was um, really tough for people to go in there. You really had to have a thick skin on you. Um, and the one was also tough, I believe, because of all the companies' turnover rate, all the people leaving to go to different companies, and so they didn't have time to worry about other people's feelings and everything like that. They just needed to get the spot filled to get back into production to be making money. So, all right, and enjoy the view, and I look forward to your responses. Thank you.